Sports.
The Rogue Media Network. Look at this guy.
That's right.
So in the huddle, when you said, I'll make it, did you really believe that?
Of course. I looked right at Coach Dale and said, I'll make it. What was the play? Was it the swinging gate? What'd they run there?
No, what was it called?
Oh man, I should know this. I've only seen
the picket fence.
Picket fence. There we go.
So the picket fence was the one that they ran. And that worked out really well.
Yes.
But this one was not designed for Jimmy.
No.
But he said he would make it, and he did.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, come on. I mean, like, you got Jimmy Chitwood on your team. You know, I get that, like Michael Jordan, he dished off to Paxson and Steve Kerr because they double covered him. But come on, you got Jimmy Chitwood. You give him the ball.
You give him the ball.
Come on, we know this.
We got Dan Ingham here, First National Bank in Central Texas. First thing I got to ask you, besides I'm telling you, that's an amazing Halloween costume, and you coming in here with that on has literally sent me to the moon. I'm so excited about it. Second of all, you were in College Station today.
Yesterday, actually.
Yesterday.
Yes. No, I appreciate.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. It was a big day for us.
So First National Bank of Central Texas.
That's right. We are opening up a location down there, about a 21,000 square foot building. We've had a crew down there working out of a smaller location for a couple of years now, and it's gone so well. We're going to build them a big old one right on Highway 6 in College Station. That economy is booming down there, much like it is here in Waco, and so we're thrilled to open up a place down there. We have the gold shovels, all the fun stuff. So
yeah, that's got to be a pretty big move.
Yeah, it is. It's it's one of those deals we dipped our toes in the water, and it's like going so well. So now you're ready to make this big commitment, because it's a much bigger commitment when you build a 3-story, 21,000 square foot building. That's not free. They don't just hand that to you. So you got to spend a little money, but we're good with it because we feel confident with the team we have there and that market too.
How does that affect your workload?
Just adds to it, but it's all good. It's all good.
I figured it just adds to it.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about college football. Let's talk about your experience with one of the Cameron Stewart, who's in the room right now, wrote an article in 2022 about the TCU BYU rivalry. It was for like Baylor Nation.
Yeah.
Baylor, sorry.
That's
Baylor.
right.
Baylor, TCU.
I knew what you meant.
So the article is wonderful. Okay, I'm going to talk to Cam about that when he comes on after you, because it really, for somebody like me who's not from here, as much as you want to say you followed the Southwest Conference when you were a kid or the Big 12, you know nothing about this rivalry,
sure,
unless you know. What's been your experience over the years as a sports guy at KWTX, following college football, the Big 12, Southwest Conference with this rivalry?
Well, here's why I like it. I've liked it over the years. There's a little bit of hate in there. All right. I kind of like that sometimes. That's kind of fun. Not like, over the line, but there's a little bit of, why? And this is my theory. And I didn't go to either school, but both schools are kind of similar in a lot of ways. They kind of have a lot of the same students from the same schools. And that's why they kind of don't like each other a little bit. They're so similar that they may not admit that, but they obviously there's some differences, but I think that's a big reason why. But I mean, going back to, early, 2010 or so, or maybe in that era when Baylor was still coming up with Art Briles and TCU was really good. TCU just crushed Baylor, and then Baylor fought back to where they got better than TCU, and back and forth. Of course, the game, the season that we opened up McLean Stadium was like 60, I don't remember. It was 60 something to 50 something. So there's been some awesome games, but the reason I like it is because there's a little bit of hatred. I don't think Art Briles and Coach Patterson were on the Christmas card list with each other for a while there. I've heard actually that they've kind of patched it up a little bit, but they were pretty competitive. So it's just a lot of fun when there's those side things to the games themselves, make it a lot of fun.
What are some of your memories from covering this rivalry, whether it was down in a locker room or talking to a coach? Because there were some amazing historic moments.
So the game, forgive me, I don't remember the year, but it's when Andy Dalton was the quarterback at TCU, and Baylor was not quite where they were going to be under Art Briles yet. They just crushed Baylor. I mean, I don't remember the score, but it was over at halftime. And all these TCU fans were just talking so much trash, kind of got a little personal, yelling at the Baylor coaches and the players, yelling at Kaz Kazadi, which is a bad decision.
Yeah.
So that's a large man. Yeah. And then on the Baylor side of things, I think it was 62-58, that win in Waco. They rallied back from several scores, kick a field goal near the end of the game to win it. That was that first year we at McLean Stadium. That was an unbelievable memory.
Some of your memories dating back, before this rivalry moved over to McLean Stadium, like, can you give a little context to some of the history that you witnessed?
So here's what's interesting. There was a great
Yeah.
game where Hicks, I think was his last, the kid from China Spring, got an interception to seal it early on to beat them, and that was huge. And that's when Baylor was still trying to find their way. That was at Floyd Casey, but they didn't play for a chunk of time there. They played a couple of times because. So the part of the rivalry, if it needs a little context, TCU was pretty ticked off that they didn't get invited to the Big 12. Yeah. And they often, I have no idea, they blamed Baylor for that. They said Baylor kind of froze them out, and they used Ann Richards and her politics to get them in. And if they did, yeah, that's how it works. That's how the world works. People use like people in high places to get positions like that. But I think that, so there was a period there where they didn't play every year in between the Southwest Conference and to when TCU re-entered the Big 12. So, but I looked it up today. They've actually played 119 times. That's the 22nd longest rivalry in all of college football. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. A young Cam Stewart said they've changed just about everything about their programs and their universities, but they've always had each other.
It's pretty cool. All right. Before we move on, this is your random stat of the day.
Let's go.
What is the longest or is the rivalry, the series of two teams that have played the most time in college football?
Okay. I'm going to say,
it's from your
Harvard, Yale.
Nope. It's from your neck of the woods, I think.
Princeton and Harvard.
Lafayette and Lehigh.
Oh, gosh.
Lafayette and Lehigh, they have played 159 times.
I should have known that.
So there's your random stat.
The Lehigh Engineers and the Lafayette
I couldn't
Leopards.
have told you what their nicknames were.
Yeah. I should have known that. That's a good one, Dan. All right, let's go into this week's game.
Sure.
Baylor is, and I don't want you don't have to give a pick right now, but Baylor is, or if you want to, go ahead. But Baylor is a 3-point favorite. Night game, blackout, 2013, 2014 team is back.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. What are your expectations?
I mean, gun to my head, I'd say I think Baylor is better than TCU, but not by a lot. Let's say I were in Vegas, I don't think I would touch this game.
That's what I say.
I would not touch this game because I know how this series works. Like, would it shock you if TCU came out and won by a couple touchdowns? No, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not rooting for that, but I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole. I mean, I think the spread is right. I think it's going to be a tight ball game. But I think Baylor's a little better, but that doesn't. Maybe I'm a Baylor, I'm a Baylor fan. I'm as nervous about this game as maybe any game all year. And it's not because TCU is the best team they've played.
What about this turnaround or mini turnaround, reboot, whatever you want to call it, has grabbed you?
It's about the quarterback, man. I mean, I know it's a team and there's lots of guys who are important, but when you got a QB1 who can flat out play and lead the team and it looks like that's what he's doing, Sawyer is just been a difference maker. Yes, their scheme has been better. They're getting the ball to the right people, which has been huge. They found who they are on offense, but it all starts at QB1. Sawyer's been great at quarterback.
He has, and I feel as though he is. You always heard about how much of a leader of these guys that he was, and how much everybody liked him. And I feel like that is like some of that sweat equity that we're starting to see pay off now on the field. Some of those relationships that maybe you don't see as much in college football anymore because there's so much turnover. He's put in some time here.
That's a really good point. And because he's been on campus, but you've played too. I mean, you've got to back it up with results too. You can be the best, glue guy, the best guy in the locker room, but if you can't play, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a combination of those two.
All right, let's talk about the game itself. Who do you have winning?
I mean, I'm going to say Baylor by a score. In fact, because let's say they win but on a last-second field goal, just to kind of bring some history back into it.
All right, let's little Cowboy talk before we get to your picks. And I do want to compliment Oklahoma State, believe it or not. But when you look at the Cowboys the other night, I felt like when they got out to an early lead, I thought, oh wow, and they were really going back and forth, right? Like trading punches with the 49ers. And the 49ers aren't great this year, but sure, they could get better quick. I felt like, wow, what a difference a week makes. Like the bye, here we are. Like all of a sudden, like the Cowboys could win this game and get going. And then they just completely, they are who they are.
Yeah, I mean, and they had a chance there at the end. I mean, that's the deal. and it felt like this was a time to be. I mean, I think San Francisco is going to be a better team in a couple of months if they get healthy than they are right now. So this was a chance for them to get a win. And man, that's a tough loss. I mean, because so many teams make the playoffs now in the NFL, the Cowboys still have a chance.
Yeah.
But man, that was tough.
That was a rough one. Who do you like this week? So let's get into your picks.
All right. So our locks of the week here. I think I went 1-1 last week, so take it for what it's worth.
First National Bank of Central Texas, taking it to the bank with
That's
Dan
right.
Ingham.
All right. So I'm going to go, we'll start since we're in the NFL. So Washington, you saw them with the miracle win.
Yes.
The Hail Mary. It's letdown time for the Commanders. I say take the Giants and get 4 points over Washington.
Wow.
So I'll take
at
the
home
Giants.
for the Giants.
That's right.
Okay.
Giants +4. And then in college football, kind of one that's off the radar a little bit, but I was just looking at some stuff. Navy, kind of disappointing game against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I've always said, how do you get right in college football? Play Rice. And I have some good friends that went there, but I'm sorry. But Rice and Navy give the 11 points. I think this is a bad Rice football team, and it's a good Navy team. They win by at least 2 scores. So Navy and give the 11 points.
All right. So we got Navy. We got the Giants. If you were, I can't resist. If you were the athletic director at Rice,
okay,
like they were like, okay, Dan, we're going to give you $1.5 million a year. You're going to be the AD at Rice. What is your approach to getting that football team back up to a competitive level, at least?
So I'm at Rice University, which has some of the most brilliant graduates in the world. And I guarantee there's some folks with some serious money that have started some tech startup somewhere, get some big time NIL cash. That's how you do it at Rice. Now, granted, you are limited in your pool because of the academic standards at Rice. So you're competing against schools like Stanford, Notre Dame, Navy, Army, Air Force, but get some of that NIL money. And the kid who has really good grades if Rice is offering you a bunch of cash, maybe that's where you end up going. So it's all about getting that NIL money.
Why do you think that they haven't embraced that? Like there was a minute where they were like, yeah, they were in the Southwest Conference, competitive.
They've been solid at times. They really have. A friend of mine played there. Oh gosh, it's been 15 years ago, and they went to a couple bowl games. And interesting, like his position coach was Tom Herman. I mean, they had some great guys on. Kind of small world, but
play Rice if they recruited me.
It's like one of the best universities in America.
Yeah,
it's a great
and
school.
It's Texas football. I mean, there was a moment where it would have felt good to be a part of that, but right now it's we had dark times.
We had a kid, a guy named Randy Kitchens. He played at Robinson maybe 15 years ago. Great athlete, led Robinson High School to the state championship game, and then went to Rice and had a solid career there as a wide receiver, and got to play in a bowl game or two. And oh, by the way, he got a degree from Rice. So I mean, there's worse things to do. Yeah.
All right. What about Oklahoma State? And here's a compliment. It really grabbed me this week when I saw what Ollie Gordon had to say.
Yeah.
About that. Hey, my mom would have been like, what are you doing? You can't quit on your team. And what kind of guy would I be to quit on these my teammates now? For me, I was like, wow. Like if you're an NFL scout or somebody in the front office, like that's got to move him up the chart.
Yeah, that's refreshing. I'd like to think that his play is not tied to any kind of his NIL money is tied to how many games he plays. But either way, it sure.
Dan, why do you got to ruin it?
Well, I know. Again. It is possible. I'm just throwing it out there. But the reality is it's pretty cool to see. And he's been a guy you could tell really loves Oklahoma State and loves it there. And so he's an easy guy to root for. I know this year has sucked. I mean, that's just all there is to it. They've lost 5 games in a row. I don't think Oklahoma State's done that in 20 plus years. And they're in real jeopardy. I think they have a 20-year bowl streak, which is like the 3rd or 4th best in all of America. It doesn't look good. I mean, they've got to win 3 out of the next 4, which is possible in the big, but I mean, it's hard to see too. So it's kind of wild. I know they took a lot of pride and they haven't missed a bowl game since like 2004. So that's kind of tough to see, but yeah, it was cool to see him say that and say that he's playing ball.
Is the seat hot for Mike Gundy at all?
No, he's got a lot. He has a lifetime contract.
Nice to hear that.
I mean, I thought Gary Patterson would never get let go at TCU. So I shouldn't say that there's Mike Gundy, and then there's every other coach that's in the history of Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
So it's really not even close. Yeah.
All right. Dan Ingham, take it to the bank. First National Bank of Central Texas. We'll see him next week.
I'll make it.
All right. Take care, Dan. Thanks.